Good afternoon, friends. I'm Matt Williams. I'm the director here at Skylake, and it is a joy to have you coming along on today's mini hike. It is the 22nd of May. It is a Friday. It's the start of what's traditionally a spring fling weekend here at Skylake, but we are on pause with that as well. So, I thought we would take a hike, just a mini hike, on one of the paths that we don't use all that much because typically, let me turn you around. Hi, Maggie. We have this path that goes through the woods and then this path that goes down by the lake, and we're always so used to walking along the lake shore. So I thought we would take a little hike down this path, but before we do, I wanted to share a couple trees with you. These are all understory trees, and they're all so close together. It's so awesome to see them this close together. So first off, we have the beech tree, and we've talked about that a few times. And you can see where these little brown coverings from last year's leaves they're just coming off the tree. And why is that important to the beech tree? Well, it turns out that the beech tree doesn't have the ability to protect itself like the other trees do in the wintertime. So instead of shedding its leaves in the autumn, they wait until the new leaves are ready to spring forth. And those old leaves then give way for the new growth. So that's pretty cool. And then we come over here and we can see some witch hazel. And this is pretty neat. You can see the witch hazel leaves just starting to grow and take on their very unique shape. One side is usually a little bit smoother than the other, and one side is a little more rugged. And that's one of the ways visually you can see a witch hazel tree in the forest and say, oh, that's a witch hazel tree. But by midsummer, they will develop a little cap on the bottom. Usually there are some bugs that come along, and they build a little, right down underneath, they usually build what looks like a traditional witch's cap underneath. And that's where it takes its name, witch hazel. So that's awesome. And then I'm coming off the path, so I did make sure to put bug spray on, and I will check for ticks later on. We see the beginnings of a small maple tree. Now, is anyone want to venture a guess as to what kind of maple tree this is? This one's going to be a little bit harder to tell because it's so small. But if you look at the trunk, you can kind of see some stripes. So this is a striped maple. It's also referred to as moosewood, or if you look at it, the leaves will get a lot larger and they look like a goosefoot. So they go by, this particular tree goes by 3 different names. We tend to call it striped maple here. Some people call it goosefoot maple, and others call it moosewood. And what's really nice for all of you who may be running low on your supply of toilet paper, the leaves of a goosefoot maple, a striped maple, a moosewood maple are really quite soft. And so if you're ever stuck in the woods without toilet paper, now you know which tree to look for. I would recommend that you stay away from the leaves of other trees, but the striped maple has a very soft and durable leaf. So there we have it. So we are going to walk down the path that's not traveled as much. I do enjoy this. This is going to take us out a little further along the lake. But it has been a gorgeous morning here at Skylake. It's warm. It is starting to cloud over. We're expecting rain later today. But it's been nice to be able to get out here this week, Jenna on Monday and Wednesday, and me today, without having to deal with rain, which is always a joyous occasion. It helps the forest grow, but sometimes not the easiest to walk around in and broadcast these lives. So I'm grateful for no rain right now. So this is kind of this upper path that takes us through the woods. And sometimes it's just really nice to get out into nature and just see all these trees. And like many of you who've been kind of staying home as much as possible, I had to go grocery shopping yesterday. And as I left, I could not believe how much greener the hills surrounding Sky Lake had gotten in just a few short days. You know, when you don't do your normal path as often, you start to pick up on new things that really strike your eyes. Of realizing that sometimes when we pause, we get to see the world in a new way. And so even though this pause, the great pause, has been challenging a lot of the time, I hope it's going to help us see things in a new way and see how we can change the world to make it even better for all those we share this beautiful earth with. Oh. Just enjoying a nice little hike through this part of the Sky Lake Forest. Seeing if I find anything that fancies my eye. Well, I'm seeing lots of things that fancy my eye, but see if there's anything that might be fun to talk about. Oh, this is fun with the 3 different trees right here, looking like some oak. Just all kind of growing together. That's fun. Ah. Scene. I'm gonna kind of turn up and you might be able to make out some holes in the tree in front of me. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer so there's not as much shadowing. Turns out we have an even better example that we can get right up close and personal. So you likely see some holes in the tree, and I'm guessing that you would say, yes, woodpecker. But we can also have a pretty educated guess as to what particular woodpecker made these particular holes. So you'll notice it looks like maybe a white pine, which the pileated, or pileated as some people call it, woodpecker loves to search for bugs, and they'll often create long oval-shaped holes rather than a lot of little holes. And so we have a number of pileated woodpeckers around here at Sky Lake, and they are just a lot of fun to see. The cartoon character Woody the Woodpecker is modeled after pileated. So if you know what Woody the Woodpecker looks like, you kind of know what a pileated looks like. And they're kind of large. They're probably about the size of a crow, which we have a lot of here at Sky Lake as well. But the pileated come and they get their food out of these trees. So they're always a lot of fun to see, and their handiwork is all over the place. Let's get back on the path, and I will certainly need to check head to shoulders, knees to toes. Yes, head to shoulders, knees to toes when I get back to the east shore, to ensure that I haven't brought along any ticks with me. Like to be on the safe side because if we find them early, they are easy to deal with. We just brush them off. And I can tell you, I've only picked some up on a handful of occasions all these years living at Sky Lake, but I know to be careful and I know to check and to tuck my shirt into my pants and my pants into my socks and check head to shoulders, knees to toes. By the way, that's a reference to a training video that many of us who've been on summer staff from the early 90s onward have watched year after year. It's tick safety. So we are almost to our destination for today, and that is what I like to call the cove of the lake. Now, if you've never looked at Google Maps, I would invite you to do so. You can pull up Sky Lake Camp and Retreat Center, and you'll get a good aerial view of our lake. Some of you, I think, probably watched the drone video that our tremendous volunteer Greg Milanich put together for us recently, of kind of flying the drone over the lake. But if you look at it from far, far up, you'll see that Sky Lake looks a bit like a dove in flight. And right now, we're in that long cove that resembles the wings of the dove. So, this is very exciting. I hope I can get in close. Okay, so one last thing, and then I'll wish you a good weekend. Right down here, you see that kind of purplish flower? That is one of the wildflowers that really grows well here at Sky Lake. It also likes the kind of the acidic soil created by our forest, and that is a gaywing. And so it's very exciting to find those. This is about the time of year that they love to pop out and just say hello. And yeah. All right. Well, friends, I am in a spotty signal area of the lake. So hope you can still hear me and that you have a wonderful weekend as we remember all those who served this country with their lives. And then we will be back leading these hikes next Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So you don't have to worry about us being gone too long, but we will be celebrating Memorial Day by having a day off. What a great way to end this weekend. So it has been great having you along on today's hike, and we look forward to seeing you again Sunday evening for our campfire at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And then we'll be back Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. for your next mini hike. Until then, have a great day. Bye, friends.